Kali, welcome. I know this moment's been a long time coming. For those who may be just discovering you or not knowing who you are for the first time, can you start by introducing yourself?
Yes, I'm Cauliflower. I'm a pop R&B artist from the beautiful islands of Hawaii. I'm currently in my Lost Girl season and I'm making music that I hope leaves people better than it found them.
You've always had this light around you, this joy, this energy presence that's in your music, but with this project, it's a bit different. The Lost Girl season. It feels like it's coming from somewhere deeper. Can you walk us into where this project is coming from? What season of your life gave birth to this project?
Yeah, this season is really all about, if you knew my last season, it was about being oblivious and chasing highs and vices, and this season is more of what happens when you kind of meet the consequences of your actions, and you kind of find yourself knowing that there's this better version of you that you want to become, but you're also stuck in between who you're used to being and the habits that you created. So with this season, I really just wanted to explain what that process looks like and how being lost isn't such a bad thing, um, and just pretty much give light into what my experience dealing with loss is like: loss of self, loss of loved ones, loss of dreams and things that I thought were gonna become, into fruition. So this season, it's a deep one for sure, but I know that a lot of people can relate to it. And when people listen to, not even just listen to the music, but when people enter the world of Lost Girl season, I just want them to know that they're not alone.
We have a couple of people here today who are going to have some conversations with us, share some of their experiences and all that with us. But before we bring anyone in, I have one more question for you. What would you say to someone walking in tonight who feels lost in ways that they can't even name?
I would say that congratulations, you found a space that was made for you, that was created to be a part of your plan to be here tonight. And it's really all about how much you allow yourself to open up and be vulnerable. And within that, there's so many beautiful things you can find within being lost that will actually help find parts of yourself that you didn't even know were there, that you would even stumble upon. So this night really is all about how much you give it, and it will give back to you that same amount.
Explain to me the story of the song Lost and how beautiful that was. Can you let us all into what that story is?
Yeah, it's pretty much just encompasses everything, all of that. It's a story of battling yourself, of kind of losing the person you once were to become the person that you know you're meant to be once you start realizing that you deserve better and you want better for yourself. And it was really cool being able to collab on it with Jizo, because again, I want to show people that when you feel lost and in the midst of all this chaos, you're really not alone. There's other people who are going through it, people who can share the same stories and can relate with you. And just in the process of this, what I love the most is it's such a groovy song that you kind of forget that you're actually listening to something that's sad. And I think that's what we do a lot, is we put on a front when we're going through our day-to-day lives of just smiling and thugging it out, and at the end of the day, there's people who are genuinely there who want to be able to help and can relate to your story. So that's the beauty of the song.
And you mentioned that you're not alone, and you're not alone because we actually have Jizo in studio. Jizo, can you come on screen for us? What's going on?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for being with us today. Um, you know, Kali just gave this amazing story about the song "Lost" and how it resonated and where she come from with the song. How does that resonate with you?
Yeah, so I love the song, first of all. I think it's funny because the it kind of lined up both of our situations. Her last season was kind of, I can relate to it as far as living oblivious. And I was kind of living wild, A couple months prior to her hitting me up to do the song, I had a crazy life-changing experience that led me to having to change my ways a lot too. And you know, that ego death, and just like that, you know, I had to make some changes as well, some big changes that, you know, led me to where we're at now. So it kind of just lined up perfectly.
Oh, that sounds very similar to, again, as you said, Fuck Girl season and that last season that you were going through. And there's a lot of people who go through that same type of, you know, that transition and that situation with life, especially when, you know, you're feeding into our, you know, your desires and your vices and what makes you feel good. You know what I mean?
If you're okay with it, like, are you okay with like telling the story of like that night a little bit, or kind of
sure.
like summing up like when you woke up, what that felt like?
Yeah. So I want to say Kali hit me up to do the song in February, and the September prior to that, it was crazy. It was like a Sunday night, and I was out. You know, I was at the club, and it was a pretty calm night. I ended up getting like roofied at a club, right? So, you know, from my recollection, the night goes from me being out with friends to the next moment, I'm in a place where I've never been, no wallet, no phone, no keys, things like that. And yeah, I was trying to figure out what was going on, you know. I don't know if you ever been drugged, but it's a crazy feeling. Yeah, but anyways, this led to me getting shot, you know, and then as the night progressed, you know, I got shot, I went to the hospital, went through all these things, and it was a crazy thing because the night was so hectic that I was kind of just coming to whenever I was at the hospital and everything. So at that point, I was just kind of trying to make sense of everything that was going on. I think the real change like set in after, you know, I was like after I got to my house and everything, and I'm sitting there with like a gunshot wound in my leg, and just basically cleaning it up myself day by day, like walking with a cane, and just having a lot of lonely nights where I'm just trying to make sense of everything that went on, you know. It's like a traumatizing experience.
For someone sitting out there tonight who's quiet, breaking inside, going through their own type of, you know, demons, what's something that you would want them to know as someone who's made it on the other side?
I want to say made it on the other side, but
you're still here.
I think I would just say that it's a process, and have grace with yourself. I think that's the biggest thing, because especially for someone like me, I can be so hard on myself, because it's like, you know better, you do better. If you want this greatness, like, why are you doing this? Like, why do you keep falling into cycles? And it's so easy to just keep like putting it all on you. So just give yourself grace. A lot of times it's things that's way deep down in our subconscious that we don't even know that we're dealing with. It's a product of our environment that we've been in for so long. So yeah, just have grace and pray. When you feel like no one else can understand or hear you and there's no other solution, just pray.
Yeah, I agree. I think it takes, you know, patience and prayer. I think a crazy quote I heard one time that is like, if everyone got in a circle and put their problems in the circle and like put their problems in the middle, and you would be so quick to take your problems back, you know. So, you know, with that, I think you got to realize that it's not the end of the world. Hopefully, you know, whatever situation you're going through, there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just, you know, if you can't see where you're going, you could look down at your feet and look step by step. You could look at the next step, and eventually, you know, things will start to open up for you. So, you know, in essence, just keep going. For me, that's what I think.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. The sound of Lost Girl season is something unlike what you've previously put out, from the twerking to the we outside to the it's fuck girl season to now the somber tier lo-fi, like, if that's not even the words, but like this low, just calming type of beats and production, the sounds. Take us into the intentionality of that with this season.
It's so different, and it was meant to be that way for sure. Last season it was fun. When you listen to the music, I just wanted people to dance a little, feel themselves, like not have a care in the world, because that's how I was feeling during that time, and when everything quiets down and you're kind of left, the partying's done, the clothes are done, the music's off, and you're just by yourself, that's kind of when everything hits. And for me, that's what Lost Girl season was. It's almost like finding yourself amidst all the chaos, right? And for me personally, whenever I feel like there's so much going on in the world, I love going back home to Hawaii and being able to recollect myself. And so when we were making this, I wanted it to sound very sonically like dreamy, fantasy, like oceans, waves, vibes, frequencies, and I feel like we really perfected the sound with this.
Shout out to the producer who was on that.
Yeah, and when I say we, in case you're wondering who I'm talking about, we have Pretty Dim here, aka Tristan, who is the other half of Lost Girl season, and man, I owe everything for this project and this season to this one right here.
Thank you, Dim, for being with us today.
Absolutely, I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. Man, you're the other half of this project. So take us through. When did y'all first connect on this project?
Well, originally first, me and Kali linked up on a song called Day Ones. We're both on the cover of that, and that was really like the first piece of music that we ever kind of got together, made, and that was really fun. But I know that whenever she approached me about the project, she really wanted to go deeper on like let's start something from scratch, and that's kind of how I've been as a producer for really since the beginning. I love being able to get together with the artists, with really anybody, and kind of create what they're feeling or exactly maybe the emotions that they are wanting to portray with the music. And really after the first link up, whenever we got together at the studio, I feel like I had a few beats, you know what I mean? I had a couple of things that I definitely wanted to play after she kind of gave me a good rundown of what this next season was going to be for her. But funny enough is that after the first session, we pretty much left with really like one beat. And even with that one beat, it was maybe like what you'd say like a week or two before we kind of got back together again. And she was telling me, she was like, I've been working on this beat. I've been trying to like write these lyrics. I've been feeling it. And it was a little bit of a challenge for her. And not to say anything towards the beat that essentially we were working on at that time, but in the moment, whenever she was telling me these things, I kind of started to replay the thought in my mind of like, okay, just think about what she was saying. You know what I mean? Like think about the times that we're all kind of in, and the word lost, like just that. I really tried to encompass myself in that, and it's crazy, the very next beat that I made actually ended up being Bottom of the Ocean. So for that to be like the second beat that we essentially even started, it was great. It was really awesome.
Kali, he touched briefly on your writing process for this one. Was there an adjustment in terms of your writing for this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wasn't so much coming from a place of me anymore. It was more like let me dive more into how I'm feeling in this season of loss and my emotions within it. But also I was looking around me, and everyone that I knew, especially like my really close people, they were losing a lot of things, losing family members, losing jobs, feeling like they were losing parts of themselves amidst such an uncertain time. And for me, I pulled a lot of that because I'm such an empath and I feel that. So I really pulled on those emotions, and I wanted to make something that could be the voice of more than just myself and be the voice of more of like the community that surrounds me. So yeah, it definitely came from a way different place when it came to how I was writing it.
Dim, you touched on bottom of the ocean, then the next track, the next track, the next track. Was there a specific time that like you kind of thought to yourself like, you know, we're really telling a story here. We're really putting things together here rather than, as you said, when you originally came with it, you just had beats. You know, take us into a little bit more.
Well, I think the beautiful thing is that once Bottom of the Ocean really started up, I think the rest of it honestly was just kind of like, because I don't know exactly what it was. I mean, we both love that song, Bottom of the Ocean, as itself, but it was genuinely like we essentially, whenever that song was made, it just kind of felt like we were literally in the bottom of the ocean, but like in a great way, and we just stayed there.
When we were creating these songs, it was almost like a therapy session in the beginning before we'd actually like get into making the music. And that's what the beauty of it was, is because when I went into reaching out to him to even do this, like I knew I didn't want it to just be a me thing. Because at the end of the day, I feel like collabs are the best when you can really take from both experiences and like passionately make something together. And so when we like would sit down and have our talks before the sessions, we would open about, you know, what we're going through, what are we about to talk through today. Because for me, like every session, I wanted us to release the things that we were going through in the music, and I feel like you're really gonna feel that when you listen to it.
For both of y'all, what do you think that people outside of our world who don't understand, what do you think they misunderstand about healing through music and what that, you know, can do for you?
I feel like the gist of that too is a lot of people just misunderstanding what it means to be lost and looking at it like it's such a bad thing, right? Not feeling like you know exactly what you're doing all the time, and maybe that's just the pressure that society and this idea of perfectionism puts on us as humans. And so I think it's such a beautiful thing to like let go and just see what happens. To be like very transparent within this process, it was the first time too that I ever told myself as we were going into these sessions, I wasn't gonna really have anything prepared. I was just gonna see what he made, flow with it, and we were gonna write. And it's scary to do that, right? It's scary to let go and just use everything you have and really trust yourself that you can walk into any space and just make magic happen. But I think again, that's the beauty of being lost, is you can go into different spaces and just see like what you'll find there. It might be like a little part of you, it might be a source of inspiration. You never know.
And ultimately, to piggyback right off of that, I mean, a lot of the words I feel like I'm just going to repeat, but it's the truth, you know, like I think sometimes whenever we think of being lost, we kind of think about it at like, oh snap, we're in Dallas, we missed our exit, now we're 7 hours away from our location, you know what I mean? And it's more like, well, whenever you're lost, that usually means that something is bound to be found. You know what I mean? And I think just like what she said, you know, like it's a very beautiful thing. It's a very beautiful process, even though in the midst of it, sometimes it'll not feel that way, you know? And I think that's just I really feel like that's just kind of where we as people maybe need to kind of remind ourselves that, like, you know, listen, if you don't feel like you are in the right place right now, or if you don't necessarily feel like you have everything going on, that is okay. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean that you're in a bad place. It doesn't mean that you're, you know, it's tricky because you want to, I feel like as people, we naturally want to feel like we have a grasp, we have control on things, but in reality, with how the way the world and just life works, like that's just never the case. So I think there's a good, bittersweet, yet both good and bad connection with just like allowing yourself to be lost while also not allowing yourself to worry about where you are all the time, you know?
Okay. My last question, it's going to be the same question that I had asked to Jizo. For someone who's sitting out there tonight who is going through their own loss, maybe not fully understanding why they feel lost, where they're going, you know, to be found, what would you say to them?
While you are in this place of trying to find whatever you are trying to find, don't be closed off to what other things you might find. Because I think in the process of maybe trying to go towards a specific thing while trying to figure out a specific thing within ourselves, we kind of have tunnel vision. sometimes, and that might be the biggest reason why you may not realize some things, and it also might be the biggest reason that you do realize some things. But whenever it comes to just being at a place of just huge uncertainty, at loss, just keep pushing, you know what I mean? That's probably just that's just the best basic advice that I could give, is that even though you may not feel like you're making a lot of steps, movement is always happening, you know what I mean? Just because you may not feel like you're going in the right direction doesn't mean that you're going in the wrong direction, and just push through, hold yourself strong. I'll say this, I remember reading this quote as well, where it's like, there's strength in isolation, but there's healing in community. And I think if you are feeling in a place of isolation, this is the best time to just get as strong as you possibly can. You are able to face all the things that maybe you don't want to, because eventually we have to, you know what I mean? Eventually we have to face the things that we don't want. But with that being said, that's the first step process of essentially being found, or finding what you would want to find.
That was beautiful. I love that. and I feel like too, a lot of times it's gonna be this battle of your head and your heart, right? You're gonna be like, you wanna be so logical, but you also feel a certain way. Like, I would just say, like, listen to what that feeling is and what that intuition's telling you, because a lot of times what's happening in our brain is just, again, a product of our environment and what we were raised to believe, and everything we hear and go through on a day-to-day. I mean, there's so many distractions and things that we're constantly soaking in and taking in. So really, like, listen and hone in on what's your heart telling you, what's your intuition telling you, and I promise you 9 times out of 10 it's gonna be the right path to go down.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Cut.
That was beautiful.
Wait, we need to get the hugging scene.
Oh, yeah.
I need to send them off. Are we still rolling?
Yeah, we're still
Okay.
rolling. Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
One of the more emotional songs on the project is Bottom of the Ocean, the single from this project. You said to me that it was born from real loss. Is there someone you shared this pain with that had influence on you making this track in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for the most part, the song, it just came from a time where I realized a lot of, like, the relationships I'd be in, they just wouldn't work the way I guess I, like, had in my head, and most of it I feel like it would be because of like, me, and almost being the detriment of every, like, love that I would have. And so this song just really encompasses what it's like to, like, almost be one of the reasons why you lose something, but not really wanting to have lost something. But there's so many ways that this song could be, like, taken. I mean, everyone's gonna relate to it with their own experience, but I'm really thankful and blessed that today I get to share that and be able to have one of my best friend's stories on here with me. Gabi's here today. Looking hot.
Welcome, Gabi. Thank you for coming with us. I've heard so many good things about you, and Callie has briefed me a little bit into your story and some of the loss that you've been through. You mind sharing with us?
Yeah, so pretty much the biggest loss that, I've gone through a lot of different versions of loss, pet loss, job loss, relationships, and, but the biggest one, I tragically lost my partner. He was my boyfriend of 3.5 years, and then, he passed away on a dirt bike accident just randomly one day, and so I had to go through a lot dealing with that.
Yeah. Callie, from Bottom of the Ocean, from Gabi's story, like, what were you referencing any parts of that for the track, or kind of take me through the process in terms of Bottom of the Ocean and how that came to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think subconsciously, like, you always take on, things that the people who are close to you go through, and her story was definitely one that I feel like it sat with me, and whether I realized it or not, I was pulling from so many experiences that I went through and that people around me were going through to make this. And the song itself, especially when you listen to the hook, it's really about knowing that something is so far gone, but at a time where like you felt like you weren't ready for it to leave. And I think that would be like the biggest thing that I feel like also a lot of people could probably relate to.
Definitely. In the song you reference, in the lyrics you say, my salty lips against yours, in my dreams I want more of what you meant to me, now I'm incomplete. Gabi, for you, what did, finding yourself, bringing yourself back to wholeness and bringing yourself back together, what did that look like for you at that time?
Whenever it happened, I was completely shattered. One day you're at work about to come home and then come home to your boyfriend and then he just never comes back. And, so it completely shattered me. But with loss, it's like your heart breaks apart, but it also breaks open. And so, I'm a lot more compassionate, empathetic now, and you can really just like see what really matters in life, and what is important, and just kind of see that everything is temporary. It's so cliche, but everything is temporary. And, my process, I've always struggled with mental health since I was a little kid. And so, when you're struggling with your mental health and then something absolutely horrifying happens to you, you can actually go down to the bottom of the ocean, literally. And so that's exactly what it felt like. You're drowning, you don't know who you are, what to do, where to go. You lose your sense of self. But in that, you find out, exactly who you are and the strength that you possess. And, it's super easy to dive into your vices, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex. But it's important to just kind of hone in on what really matters and what can bring you out of that space. Because, the drugs and alcohol, it'll all be fun for 1 minute, but when you're home alone, what's going to really bring you peace and happiness?
We were looking over questions and different topics. Something that really stuck out to me was, what did being lost teach you that you didn't know, or that you didn't know when everything was like put together?
I feel like that's such a deep question. I guess like in the midst of it all is just like the importance of your purpose in life. I feel like when you're lost, you kind of allow yourself to go into different spaces you wouldn't before, because you wanted to like keep everything so put together, and now you're kind of like broken a little bit, or in a lot of pieces. And I think when you're there, it's just kind of like, well, let me fully dive into this. I think there was a point where I told myself that. I was like, let me just dive into this, because the faster I can get to like rock bottom, the quicker I can like start to figure out how to find my way up. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think that's the biggest thing that I learned within that space. And then within that, I always loved being around people, but I was such like a self-sufficient, independent to myself person. And I feel like within being lost, I allowed myself to open up more to people and to give them more opportunities, because I guess I was a little jaded from, just life's experience, but to allow people back in and to not just give love, but to able to like receive that love too. And I think that's just like the beauty of everything I found within being lost. And that's why I don't look at it as such a bad thing.
Yeah, dealing with loss, it's one of the most painful things that you can go through, all different types. But, you have to see it as like a time of transformation and a time of like reset, and just kind of getting back to like you, and like, yeah.
And there's no timeline on that either. You spoke, Kale, in the last section of giving yourself grace and allowing yourself that time to yes, feel the loss, but also give yourself grace as when you're trying to come back from it and bouncing back from it, because it's not easy. That's not something that's easy. And Gabi, from your experience, as you've told us, that's not easy as well. What's something that's helped y'all keep going on your hardest days?
I feel like for me, and I feel like I'm really like blessed to say this, but like since I feel like I found my purpose, and like to me I feel like my purpose is really helping other people find like that light within them, and what their purpose in their life is too. It's just knowing that like every day that I feel like I keep more to myself, I kind of do a disservice to not just like the people around me but the world around me. Not in a sense where it's like I'm all that, but it's more so just in a sense of like I have so much love and light to give, and someone out there probably needs this today a lot more than I need to just like hold it in and keep it to myself. So I feel like when you find your purpose in life, that's when you really like you can get out of bed during your hardest days, because you know that there's something bigger than you that's within every day that you wake up, every moment that you get to breathe, and also switching your mindset from looking at the things you lack to more of the things that you have. I think that's another thing. Once you get to that point, you're just more like, well, I'm so happy that I woke up today, because there's probably a lot of people who didn't get that opportunity and don't get this chance to make an impact today. So yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, you know, you definitely want to isolate yourself. I think that's just a natural human thing. But, you know, opening myself, I'm reclusive like you. Like, I'm like, I got this on my own. Like, I don't need y'all. And so with this, I really, you know, I had to give it up to God. I had to give it up to my friends, my family, of course. And, you know, whenever you're not strong enough to handle something, hopefully you have someone else that can kind of help you carry yourself sometimes. And so I think that's important as well, too.
Community is palpable.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Gabi. Thank you.
The EP ends on the song I Am Why/Backup. Tell me a little bit about that one. I know you were telling me that one's really special to you.
Yeah, that song was almost like me writing a song to my future self. If you really listen to the lyrics, it's a song about losing someone that was really close to you. And for me, around that time when we came to the time to write that song, I actually had, like, my best friend had lost his dad, and I also had a really close coworker who had lost her brother, and just feeling those emotions at the same time, and knowing that they lost someone who they like grew up with and spent their whole lives with. Like, I can't even begin to imagine what that feels like, because I've been blessed to like not have lost any of my family members yet. Like, I still have my great grandma alive. But I wrote that in a sense to like almost comfort the future me when that time does happen. And when you listen to that song, I love the way that it ended up playing out, because you have like that grief. It's almost like the stages of grief. You have that beginning where you're just like sad, but you're kind of angry, and you're mad that you just didn't have more time with that person. And then you kind of go through their life having this new purpose and meaning, and kind of understanding that even though someone's gone, it doesn't mean that they're really gone. And then it ends with back up, which is just like, now that you have this newfound purpose, what are you going to do about it?
That's amazing. And you mentioned your best friend. We have him here today.
Oh, do I walk now? Okay.
What up?
What's going on, Cozy? How are you?
Good, man.
Are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you for joining us. As Kali stated about, losing a parent, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
That changes everything, man.
Yeah.
Take us through what that kind of loss looked like for you. And
Yeah, man, it was tough because it was like the day that he passed, he was actually supposed to, he was in a rehab center, to make sure his heart was good, his legs, everything. And I remember he was supposed to come back home the day after, because my birthday was 2 days before. So I remember it was like 1 a.m, my mom calls and she's like, hey, wake up. Something's going on with your dad and stuff. And he, then we found out that he died with a heart attack. And it was like super surreal because I was just like, damn, like he was supposed to be here. Like the doctors say he was good. Everybody said he was good. And just like losing a parent, knowing that he was like struggling with the battle with he was a bad diabetic, and he had both his legs amputated, and that it was tough, man. And knowing the fact that he's I'm the junior, so my full name is Rene Campos Jr., right? And he's a senior. So knowing that me and him are pretty much the exact same, 2 Virgos, birthdays 10 days, 10 days apart, you know what I mean? And knowing the fact that like he taught me everything, like I'm a clone of him. And knowing that like just like carrying him like up the stairs when he couldn't get up, like holding him while he was like dead, like, you know, having 2 heart attacks before that, you know what I mean? That shit was tough. And he was like, just knowing that how much like my parents loved each other, you know what I mean? And knowing that how we like really seemed as a team, I feel like that really broke me. So it was really tough, man. It was really tough. And, but knowing that I had people in this room who are like family to me that showed up for me, you know, it was knowing that it was 2 days before my birthday, it was tough, man. It was the roughest stuff. It was like knowing that I'm like, damn, like he's not here. Like walking down the hallway in my room to like go to his room is like, I'm like, hey, what's up, Dad? He's like, what's up, Iho? Like, I don't hear that anymore. So knowing the fact that like he left like a legacy with me, my brother, and my sister, knowing the fact that like all he wanted to know is that like to move with love. And it opened my eyes a lot, knowing the fact that like I saw life so much more clear after that. Like knowing that just move with love and shit.
Was there like a memory or a moment that maybe back then you didn't fully understand, but like once he was gone, you were just like, man, I get where he was coming.
It's crazy because I wouldn't say with me and my dad, we really had a crazy bond, a different connection. Like I feel like we always understood each other because sometimes I feel misunderstood and he felt misunderstood too. Like, you know what I mean? Sometimes like being a creative, being a DJ, being anything, like he always like stuck by my ideas and my plans, and he was always so hype about it. But yeah, man, I would say we really, it's nothing I would say that I didn't understand. Maybe when I was younger, you know, I'm like, Dad, why'd you beat my ass? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have to beat my ass that bad. Like, you know, but outside of that, man, I think my dad was the chillest, the coolest, you know what I'm saying? She could even vouch for you, so, for me. So, like, yeah, man, I think it's, yeah.
Kali, what was that like for you? I mean, you knew him. What was that like for you, and watching your best friend kind of go through that process and being there for him to support him in that?
Yeah, I felt like it kind of hit home a little bit because
Yeah. We've been through a lot.
because a lot of people don't know, but there was a time where like I didn't have a place to live. And you know, his family opened up their house to me.
Don't cry because you're going to make me cry.
And you know, I was like taking him to some of the appointments and things like that to help out.
And that's something I'll never forget. And that's why she's always been a fan, because she saw the struggle like firsthand. So knowing the fact that like she was just there for me, and like she knew like what I was going through, you know, and that like meant a lot to me. So that's why it's just like, you know, it's tough. And it's beautiful that she wrote this song. So.
But yeah, you know, seeing that and then, you know, dealing with that when I'd be like outside of work and knowing that he was grieving that, and then going to work and knowing that like one of my really close coworkers was grieving her brother. You know, like especially even like a sibling that you just don't, you just think you have so much time with. That was like hard, and I think for me it put things into perspective where it's just like I can't even imagine what that feels like when it comes time for me to like lose anyone that's close to me. So that song is just special, and like I feel like you can hear most of my heart in that song, which is crazy because it's not even something that like I personally experienced yet, but it was something that I could like put myself in the shoes of others and kind of like fast forward time and see what that feels like, and just create something that I feel like, you know, will comfort me when that time comes, because the reality is like nothing lasts forever, and my family's getting older, and even if I have my great grandma alive who's pushing 90, I think 5.
Hey, looking great though.
You just never know when the last day is, and time's so valuable in that sense.
It's so beautiful. Cozy, what did when Kali first told you that she was making this song, and when she first presented it to you and you heard it, you know, take me through those emotions for you.
And it's crazy because when she told me, I think we were in the studio with T, and I was like, you know, saying like, oh, like she was saying like we should move this around, blah blah blah, and then knowing that after the fact, she was like, this song is actually about you and and your dad and my coworker's brother. And that meant a lot to me because I was like, I went through that process and knowing the fact that she has that big heart for, for my family and knowing that how much I love her too and knowing that she's seen everything firsthand. It really made me emotional. I did at first I'm like, wait, what? Like, you really dedicated this to me? I didn't really piece everything together at first. I was like, yo, this is a dope song. I can't wait for it to come out. It was like probably one of the first songs she wrote for the project, and I'm just like, this is amazing. And then knowing that she told me after, like, that meant a lot to me because I feel like music is something that always brings people together. It brought me and my dad together and closer, if you will, you know what I'm saying? I got all my music tastes just from my dad and knowing how, seeing the journey of Collie's music is different. Like, from what she first started, I was at her very first show to now going to her second project. You know what I mean? And I couldn't be so more proud of her for that. And it means a lot for me to know that she did a song about my dad, and that meant a lot. That meant a lot.
As you've watched, you just touched on it right there. You were at Collie's first show, and you've watched her go through these different iterations of herself and her music. How do you feel about this new Lost Girl season and what is coming out in the directions that she's taking sonically?
Wow, I think, just be ready for it because it's so different from what she's so used to. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is a lane I've been wanting her to be her, having her be on. You know what I'm saying? She knows I like the little razzle dazzle, the euphoric sound. So knowing the fact that even T, he's been killing it on production too, and all the producers involved. But just seeing the growth is beautiful. You know what I mean? And I think that's the whole purpose of life, growing and growing and just seeing how life goes. You never know what tomorrow is. You never know what the next hour is going to be like. You know what I mean? So it's just beautiful to see everything connect together.
Collie, how does it feel to have someone who's this deep in your corner?
Yeah, nah, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we've been through the mud. Let me tell you.
No, but it means a lot, honestly. And Rene is definitely someone that I can say has truly seen everything from the beginning. I mean, what we're going on over a
decade. Sheesh. I want to say, yeah.
Starting because I think 2015.
2015, yeah, 2015. She's 10 years. That's insane.
Yeah.
But no, that 10-year span is insane. What we've been through in 10 years, I don't think anybody else has low-key been in years.
So much has happened, and I feel like at the end of the day, that's what I say is your community is everything to you, and I feel like he's definitely one of the people, even though it's hard for me to go to people about anything, he's definitely someone that I feel like I can go to. So he's been a big help, and I feel like if you have someone like that in your life and your support system, lean on them and also don't take them for granted, because it's really hard, I feel like, to find someone who will quite literally stick through a whole decade.
Yeah, no, on God, and but it's like I said, it's beautiful because it's life teaches you so much, but it can't be always about the good things. It has to be some bad things. It has to be things that mature you and help you grow. Because if you're saying, if we were oh, she's just a party friend or whatever, but let me get to know you. I want to see how you really are as a person. How are you outside of partying? How are you outside of the music? How are you outside of, just being out in public? So yeah, that's my dog.
Last question, y'all. Cozy, in going through this type of this process, kind of loss, hurt, grief, what did you come to understand that you didn't realize before all of this? And how can that understanding help someone else who's going through, this type of loss of their own?
Yeah, I would say just don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Life is beautiful, especially if you have people like Collie or any of my friends around me who are always supportive, because even though, yeah, we can roast each other sometimes. You heard me when I was like, man, that's what, but it's I'm grateful for that because they care. And you have people who care. You're not alone on this planet. Sad days don't last. Keep your head up and just keep moving forward, honestly. And, if you're lost, you will be found. And it will be a day where you're like, oh my God, least unexpected too. It's going to make your day so much better. your days, not even a day, just days, so much better. So yeah. That's it. Or you? I was like, oh damn! I was like, you gonna answer that? Okay. Oh, love you.
Love you too.
Okay. Do I do?
I cannot keep all of that.
All right, to close out, Kali, you've held a space for everyone here so gracefully. Everyone was able to tell their stories and, keep the conversations going, flowing, and I feel like, just in this room alone, the energy is right, and you are a big contributor to that, and you are the reason that we are all here to support you. So we just thank you for that space. You have an event going on, Saltwater Secrets. What are the secrets? What's going on?
This whole event that you're at and experiencing, it was made to be something that left people better than it found them. And it was a space where for just 2 hours of your entire lifetime you're spending it, not just with me, but people who have genuinely gone through loss and have felt loss and are processing loss and maybe lost within the loss. So the secrets really lie in anything that you really find out about yourself here that you just felt like you didn't know before. And for me, I feel like all my secrets are out now. Everything that you're experiencing tonight and for the rest of Lost Girl season is everything that I've held in my heart just finally released.
Something that you've told me off camera is that Saltwater Secrets is like a love letter to your past self. What's the secret that she never knew but what needed to be heard?
That you as one person have such a bigger role in this lifetime than you think, and life is so much more than waking up, doing a 9 to 5, seeing how great you can be in your career, seeing how many people can like you, seeing how much money you can make. It's really just about leaving something that makes a lasting impact, that comes from a place of genuinely love and light, and sharing that with others so that they can continue to pass it on to other people.
Amazing. Thank you to everyone who spoke, shared, and remembered and revisited their stories today. Lost Girl season isn't just about staying lost forever. It's about knowing that even where you are right now, you're never alone. So thank you.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah.